Hello. Welcome to Point of View. Today, I want to talk about the billionaires of Hong Kong. Are they helping to solve the problem in Hong Kong, or they are the problem? Sarah Clark from Al Jazeera in Hong Kong will show the divide between the rich and poor in Hong Kong has hit a record high. The city's now the second most unequal in terms of income and wealth, behind New York. The latest government figures show that more than 20% of the population lives in poverty.
Like most 8-year-olds, Alice Hand's nightly chores include homework. But space is limited. She and her mother share this tiny subdivided one-bedroom flat. They live on a $600 monthly welfare payment, but with rent at $450, there's not always enough left to put food on the table.
I have to think a lot before buying anything. Sometimes I eat less or skip meals so that she can eat well. You see, she's quite skinny. Maybe she doesn't get enough nutrition.
It's an increasingly familiar trend in Hong Kong. Soaring property prices have pushed up rent, squeezing the most vulnerable. The latest government figures for 2016 show 20% of the population live below the poverty line.
It's not possible to close the gap totally, but there's a need to do something, right? We can't eliminate the poverty situation and then we do nothing.
The wealth gap between rich and poor in Hong Kong is also at its highest level in more than 4 decades, according to the latest government data. 10% of the city are now earning 44 times that of the poorest households, who have an average income of $320 a month. There are now around 1 million people struggling to get by in Hong Kong, and while the elderly are considered the most vulnerable, welfare groups say 1 in every 5 children are now living in poverty, and a quarter of those are not getting access to basic food needs. Welfare groups say education is also a challenge, with poor families being forced to sacrifice food to send their children to school.
Education system, school require them to pay a lot, so they have to save the money to pay this kind of expenditure. So they don't have enough money for free meals.
I want my daughter to be happy and healthy when she grows up. I tell her to study hard if she wants to change her living conditions, because we are poor. We need to rely on ourselves.
In a city where rich and poor coexist in the same space, it's a tough reality, which welfare groups say the government must urgently address. Sarah Clark, Al Jazeera, Hong Kong.
9 Hong Kong billionaires who made their money in real estate. Li Ka-shing, Li Shaoqi and Louis Chiu are among the tycoons who made their wealth from property development. When anyone thinks of Hong Kong, the first thing that probably comes to mind is the sky-high property prices. China pushes super-rich to help solve city's chronic housing shortage. Hong Kong's real estate tycoons are belatedly learning the merits of inclusive capitalism, but only with a prod from Beijing. When Chinese state media accused Hong Kong's billionaires last month of land hoarding, sowing the seeds of the housing shortage now fueling the biggest protests in the city's history, 3 of the big 4 developers worth a combined $120 billion took heed. Rather than taking aim at the tycoons and conglomerates that dominate the economy, or the property developers and landlords who control the housing market, the main target of the protesters has been the government. And the protesters don't condemn the government for protecting the elite's economic interests, to the exclusion of many Hong Kongers, but rather for implementing the will of Beijing. Hong Kong people, in one of the richest places in the world, work long hours and return to homes little larger than cubicles. It's a city where many young people, even college-educated ones, have little to no chance of owning a decent home, and are condemned to lives riddled with financial anxiety. Now people have had enough. This is not a problem created by China, at least, not directly. It's a homegrown failure and many are culpable. Many people in Hong Kong would likely agree that the city suffers from 3 major problems: the need for political reform, housing unaffordability, and an educational system unsuited to today's challenges. Despite this agreement, political polarization, dysfunctional governance, and, most importantly, a weak government captive to vested interests have prevented movement on any of these issues. Public perception of real estate tycoons has drastically changed for the worse, since home prices surged in the past couple of years. They are widely maligned for profiteering by cornering the supply to push up prices, forcing many families to stretch household budgets to the limit to buy homes. These developers are now given a chance to build a better image of themselves in the eyes of the public by the government. Instead of supporting the latest government initiatives to provide affordable housing for sale to first-time homebuyers, they have largely distanced themselves from the proposal. Hong Konger is just as charitable, if not more. The government reports that the city donated a total of $11.6 billion in 2014/15, $6.95 billion, of which was contributed by individuals, more than corporations and other organizations combined. The World Giving Index 2015 ranks Hong Kong as the 20th most generous. In Western European countries, big government dominates. Taxes are high and most social amenities are state-provided. He adds, Asians give differently too. Many prefer to give anonymously because they do not want to draw attention to their gifts, either because culturally they believe giving is best given privately or they do not wish to attract unwanted attention from government authorities and officials. We have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Let us know the videos you like and leave your comments below. We have new video every week, so be sure to hit the red button below. Thank you again.